Christian Rockstar Stalkerbeard. Yeah, maybe something like that. Is this gonna be like that South Park episode where Cartman tries to start up like a Christian band or something like that? Honestly, if it brought the money in, I probably would do that as well. Part 1, introducing the Stalkerbeard. I mean, given how beards behave most of the time, it's kind of surprising that we haven't had this category of beard quite yet, or maybe it's just like they did that, but it wasn't their only defining feature. I'll be interested to see how this one goes. Nice to meet you, Internet. Hi, user Sova tells stories. ReddX also tells stories, if you didn't know. I'm a long-time lurker, first-time poster, so I'm hoping that I'm at least posting this in the correct sub. I mean, it's the correct one if you want me to read it, I guess. I always listen to ReddX during my walks, and, well, I do have a couple of stories to tell myself. Yes, and then tell them to me, and then I'll tell them to the internet. Oh, what a wondrous symbiotic relationship we will soon form. Also, I do this to work on my English, since it's my third language and my college degree. Dang, I don't even speak one language that good. As the caption tells you, yes, this will be a story of levels so absurd, so inhumane, that I myself cannot believe that it is still unraveling as I type it out. Oh, maybe it'll have more than 3 parts then. If it's still going, good lord. Introducing Sova, R.O.P., a 15-year-old insecure introvert struggling with school and family issues, prefers to stay mute until somebody initiates conversation, but can keep the talk up and going if needed. Yes, I identify with that quite a lot. You might be surprised considering how I get here and yak into a microphone, but social interaction is super difficult. Talking about appearances, the most prominent features of mine would be the long, soft hair, the color of burnt honey, as described by another neckbeard. Burnt honey, bro. Why you always gotta compare women to food? Cut it out! It's weird! Short height and a bit of extra weight. Because of the latter, I always underestimate my attractiveness and overcompensate with my personality, which has led me to a lot of incidents like the one that you are reading right now. Also, an atheist. Oh, the beards must love that. So euphoric. Also introducing Liz, at the time 16, a great childhood friend of mine, but also the one who triggered the story. Usually, Liz would be the extrovert who adopted the introverted me, but this time it's the other way around, with me adopting her after she moved from a neighboring country, teaching her the language and helping her to make friends. So it sounds to me like maybe you guys aren't strictly introverted or extroverted, it's like flextroverted, right? You could be one or the other depending on the situation. That sounds a bit more human to me. Despite all the troubles with education because she's a foreigner, Liz is an excellent student whom I respect the most. Also struggling with family issues, tall, lean, with deep brown flowing hair to the middle of her back, emerald eyes and freckles, the embodiment of beauty itself, an atheist as well. I think the atheist thing is gonna come into this story, isn't it? Well, I mean, this is the Christian Neckbeard, so yeah, he's probably gonna try to convert some ladies. The emerald eyes thing also throws me off. Is that like also a thing that the Neckbeard threw out? You can't eat emeralds, Neckbeards. Back up. And what can two pretty teenagers do in the heat of youth and the middle of summer? Of course, work their butts off at 15-hour work shifts. Ugh, wasted that childhood away. But at least you get some extra money that you don't know how to spend, right? Thumbs up. We were both the one single person who brought money into our homes, and spending all their free time at work, our days off would usually be spent lying in bed, dying of leg cramps and back pain. Bro, y'all depending on a 15-year-old to bring in money? The only people bringing in money? That is madness already. What are you doing? Where are your parents?
Where are your parents? They're dead.
Or possibly swimming after we resurrected from the day before. Conventionally, I lived right in the b-hole of our town, near the canyon, which was usually the place that we went to, and this warm midsummer evening, when the sun was just starting to set, a thought visited Liz as we were drying off in the trees' shadows. A single thought that led to the events that still haunt me to this day. 3 years since that warm summer evening. Liz, I want to eat. Do we have any snacks? OP, no? I don't think so. You ate the last apple on our way here. Liz comically groaned and made a sad face. Liz, oh, I know. Photosynthesis told me they host a church youth meeting at 7 p.m. and there'll be sweets and hot chocolate. Oh boy, couple atheists wandering into church for the food, that's how they get you. Don't let it happen. I mean, unless you want to, whatever. Also introducing photosynthesis. Yes, we really called him that, and still do, because of him hanging around with us for around 12 hours a day and refusing all of the food and drinks that we offered. Oh, he probably thought y'all were up to something sly. He's like, nah, you drink it first. He didn't even go to the toilet. A boy older than me by only a day, with the same name as me, and only 1 centimeter shorter than I was. The brother of Stalkerbeard, the adequate sibling, besides washing his hair with horse shampoo, which he bragged about a lot. I mean, that mane and tail is pretty good stuff, but I don't advertise that fact. Not a sponsor. Short brown hair, big gray eyes, a cute boy overall. Totally Liz's type at the time. Wouldn't call him an introvert, but he was certainly awkward around girls, as most boys are at that age, I do think. He mostly hung out with Liz, visiting her at work, him being the one who told her about his weird bro, and through Liz, I knew a bit about our Neckbeard as well. ROP, Sova, being the introvert, avoiding all social events possible like a wanted criminal, suggests, well, maybe we could just walk 2 minutes to my house and I could cook us up something, Liz, and missed out on free food at the meeting? OP, that is a small price to pay for not embarrassing myself in front of strangers, and photosynthesis. Knowing Liz, I already knew what awaited me after denying, and Liz, knowing how to play on my strings, leaned in, making the world's teariest puppy eyes and puffiest lips, squeaking in my ears louder and louder with each angle it took for me to look away. Sometimes I think she was at the squeak frequency so high that it might have ascended to ultrasonic levels. And not being able to stand those sounds and psychological tortures, I gave in after only a couple more no's. I've seen this trick used before. My wife uses it to great effect, okay? I didn't know it could work on neutral friends as well. We're learning every single day. Liz, shining with happiness. Great, then if we start getting ready right now, we'll be there in time. So we packed up our things and headed to my home to change and dry off our hair properly. Come on, why don't you just stay at the house now? You're already here. While we did so, we became late and had to rush to the church, which was surprisingly not very far away from my place, less than a kilometer away. By the time we arrived, most of the attendants were already there, playing card and ball games. The church itself was a not-so-big building with 2 floors, the first being the hall, kitchen, and indoor game room, and I wasn't on the 2nd floor, but probably just the attic up there. Outside the church was the trampoline for small kids, a swing, a picnic table opposite the swing, and the campfire area with benches around it, next to the pavilion which separated the campfire and swing areas. All the rest of what little free space was left was used for the ball and frisbee games. See, they got free food, they got all kinds of games. They really are trying to get them young, ain't they? This should be more of like your own volition rather than we lured you in with a frisbee.
Excuse me, I'm looking for a car that's been tricked out to look like an ice cream truck.
That ain't a good look. I'm just gonna say that. Around 30 attendants, ranging from 12 to 24 years old, were scattered in the yard, chatting or playing. Among them, Liz almost immediately located photosynthesis and ran towards him. Me, being her tail, followed her right into the swarm of people. Ugh. After a short introduction, we split, with Liz already beating some kid's butt in Uno, and me showing some interested people my art. Well, look at you out there making friends, not so introverted after all. Proud of you. I made friends with 2 girls who were from the same college that I had transferred into this summer, and we chatted about what horrors Liz and I should expect there. And in those conversations, we spent a couple of hours on the swing, comfortably isolating myself from talking to any more than 2 people at a time. Good strategy. I need to try that one out. When all the people had gathered, we moved to the church hall, prayed, and sang some religion-themed songs from YouTube. Yeah, they got everything on the YouTube, don't you? Why don't you pull up some ReddX videos? That's a great idea. And while Liz was enjoying finally using her school band singing talents with her whole heart and throat, even going extra and giving a solo performance, oh god, why you gotta do that? Okay, whatever. I barely stood on my social anxiety shaken legs, avoiding all possible social interactions after the singing part was over by either drilling holes in piano keys in the back or playing with the neighbor's dog near the campfire. Dogs are so good during social interactions. You want to get away? Go talk to the dog. He won't bug you none too much. You just rub him and that's all that he requires of you. It's a beautiful thing. Always bring dog to party. It's a crutch, but it works. Shortly after Liz's concert, she came back to the yard, leading the cooks who were now setting up the snack table near the campfire for the last and best part of this meeting. Of course, an honorable amount of snacks went missing under Liz's watchful patrol, but it was, after all, the sole purpose of our atheist infiltration of this youth meeting, so I really can't blame her. Oh, now you steal it from Jesus, right? You know God ain't gonna let you have those hot dogs. You're gonna have to answer for that on Judgment Day. While helping to arrange the table, Liz shared with me some information that she noticed while patrolling. Liz, so you see that guy in the red and black hoodie in the pavilion? OP, the one with the guitar? Oh, why? You playing a 3-chord song like it's impressive or something? Put that thing away! God, I hate with guitars out in public. Liz, yeah, him. That's photosynthesis, bro. OP, huh. By the way you described him, I thought he'd be more neckbeardy. And indeed, Stalkerbeard was really nothing of a neckbeard on the outside. Rather tall, lean, no body hair or beard for that matter, and from far away, it even looked like he showered. Okay, but get a little closer. The proof is in the pudding, right? Dude walking around with an acoustic guitar in public, that's already a red flag, as far as I'm concerned. And we might have cheapened the phrase red flag, but I'm still counting it. I don't care. It's on my personal list. I'm pretty sure this is Guitar Beard. He just went overseas to work his beardy shenanigans. But, as ReddX says, it's the beard on the inside that matters. That's right, pick up that shirt over at Teespring, link in the description, thank you so much. In the moment, I could have even described him as somewhat pretty, which was one of the reasons that I fell into his trap. I can't exactly describe what he looked like in the moment, as now he had morphed himself to be more likable to me, that messing with my memory of him from earlier days. But I do remember that he had a hair color similar to mine, albeit a few shades darker, and it was around ear length, styled like some emo kid trying to cosplay Yuki from Mirai Nikki. Here we go, dropping anime names. Here we go, comment section eating me alive for not knowing how to say it. Oh well. Liz, I mean, he hasn't talked to anyone here all this time, and he's been eyeing us for quite a while now. Just staring. The hell? He expects you to go over and talk to him because he's carrying a guitar instead of having an actual personality. God, I heard it! OP just says, yeah, I haven't talked to more than 3 people here either. Maybe he's just an introvert. Liz, I don't know. He's weird. OP, you want to check it out? No. OP has this incredible talent of finding a way to befriend anyone, being human Play-Doh when it comes to personality. Okay, but are you talking about yourself in the third person right now? I'll allow it. It's whatever. OP also has an incredible sense of a person being a piece of crap by only observing them for a short time. OP also was incredibly biased by her own preferences, dismissing all the red flags that were towering over Stalkerbeard's head higher than Mount Everest. Yeah, maybe the flags were just so high you couldn't see them no more. Those red flags have breached the stratosphere! Liz, I would not recommend checking. Photosynthesis always talks about how weird he is and how cringe he is. I mean, cringe doesn't really mean anything in this day and age, does it? Everything's cringe. Everything's also cool and chadly. It just depends how confidently you do the thing, right? OP, how bad could it be? He might just be a weirdo like me, or in the worst case, I will get some cringe out of it. Poor naive OP. The underestimation of one's weirdness and cringiness had never led her to the depths of hell as dark and fiery as that which was inhabited by the Stalkerbeard. In all her naivete, she took the course to the pavilion, where the lonely bard was playing the strings of his worn-down guitar. Bro, that's this red flag already. I'm feeling the weirdo alert go off in my head. I don't like it. As she strayed further and further, her loyal friend had already begun mourning the pure soul that was about to be burned alive in the flames of pure cringe. Ah, come on, I go through it every day. It ain't that bad. You get used to it after a while, maybe. Walking closer to the bard, OP noticed that attached to the guitar cords was a pencil, wrapped in a paper tied under the strings. A great conversation starter, so to say. I think he's using it like a poor man's capo or something like that, right? So you could put it on the 3rd fret or whatever and play some higher notes without having to actually know how to bend your hand towards the higher note. Obviously, I'm not very good at guitar either, but I don't take it out in public, so poo-poo. OP says, hey, your music's great. Oh, don't lie to the boy. I noticed a while ago, but what's with the pencil? Doesn't it get in the way while playing? Approached by a rather attractive, interested female, the wild Stalkerbeard was noticeably startled. Stalkerbeard, it's actually, some strings got loose and I can't afford to change them, so I just fixed it myself with whatever was on hand. OP, oh, that's handy, so it basically tenses him up? I understand you're trying to be nice, you're trying to give this dude a chance, I just don't understand why. Get the food and go! Stalkerbeard. Yeah, so, without the pencil, it sounds like bleh, he blabbered while taking the pencil off and strumming his actually mute loose strings. And it's back to normal when it's in. Then he tried to put it back in, struggling while doing so because his hands were literally shaking. Oh, God. I mean, I guess at 16, but all I'm gonna say is never let him see you sweat, all right? OP is more forgiving than the girls that I knew at this age, I'm sure. OP? Performance anxiety, huh? So forgiving. I asked, noticing how he was getting uncomfortable because of the shaky hands. I tried to dilute that awkwardness. Yeah, I get it too, haha. Stalkerbeard. Yeah, no. I actually kind of want to play on stage one day. Yeah, one day. OP, you do? You sing or just play? Which genre? Stalkerbeard.
I'm not so good with vocals, but I learned some songs. You want to hear?
Oh, he's been waiting all night to show somebody the 2 songs that he knows. All right, go off, I guess. Refusing to listen would be a jerk move to do when the boy was obviously so passionate about it. Actually, so passionate that he was already beat red from the excitement. So I agreed and was blessed by a very, very poor performance of Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, which was made even worse by Stalkerbeard's poor English muttering. It's hard to He apparently learned this same song in Ukrainian, our mother language, so I was blessed to hear this version as well, which somehow turned out even worse. Oh, so he didn't learn 2 songs. He learned 1 song in 2 languages. I'm still gonna count it. It's fine. Stalkerbeard.
Oh, wow. You actually know that song?
I don't know. Maybe it's made its way over to Eastern Europe. I'm pretty sure it's like worldwide at this point, right? OP just says, yeah, I'm somewhat of a rocker / metalhead myself. I prefer foreign bands though. I still have childhood trauma from singing on stage in middle school, so hearing songs in Ukrainian and Russian feels pretty weird to me. Stalkerbeard.
Oh, so you know about...
Insert very generic mainstream 2012 rock band here.
I love them. I learned a couple of their songs even.
Yeah. Did you though? You might have learned how the chords go, but you also need to learn how to play them. It takes practice. OP. Yeah, I do, but I actually prefer Japanese ones. Utsupi and Undead Corporation are my chef's kiss. I always listen to them when I draw or write. Stalkerbeard.
You draw and write? Can I take a look? Oh, and I write a bit myself too.
OP. Oh, what do you write? Stalkerbeard.
Usually lyrics to my songs. I'm pretty good with rhymes, you know.
Oh my god. He's a musical genius, undiscovered, unappreciated in his own time. And, okay, hear me out. I try not to poop on anyone's passion, but at this point I was so full of cringe that I felt my insides rearranging themselves, shriveling up inside. This man, who couldn't even make eye contact with me for more than 2 seconds at a time, bright red, with shaky hands, who translated already written songs, changed the lyric to match his liking, and called them his own creation, was sure that in a few years he would gather crowds at his Christian rock band concerts on par with Imagine Dragons or Hollywood Undead, collaborating with them as equals even. I mean, it's good to dream big, you know what I mean? But you gotta realize that it takes a long way. You should have started 5 years ago if this is really what you wanted. He might be a bit of an old head when he gets into a band, but he could do it if he really keeps his eye on the ball. Problem with Neckbeards is they never do. They just feel entitled to something like that. Liz, noticing how close I was to letting out my last breath, snatched me away from Stalkerbeard before he could attack my eardrums with yet another cover of Gorillaz Feel Good Inc. It makes me feel bad. Lucky for us, it was time for the discussion of some Bible verses and Christian life hacks around the campfire. Christian life hacks? What is that? Go up on a mountain and come back with some laws, right? God life hack this one for me. Now I don't have to worry about my neighbors coveting what is mine. We were also accompanied by what was left on the snack table by that time. After a couple more hours of brainwashing, washed down by a cup of hot chocolate, we strayed from the topic and just started chatting about whatever with each other. Usually touched by the theme of the discussion, people were talking about their own experiences. Us with Liz sitting together on the bench, cuddling like the most lesbian couple that you have ever seen, with her head on my chest and arms around my waist, and me just hugging and playing with her hair, screaming, "We're on our own wave here, do not disturb." And of course, the Stalkerbeard ignored every single social cue with that dumb head of his, seating himself on the bench right next to ours, on the side that was closer to me. Can't even feel that bad. You invited this, okay? You should have left him on his own. He never would have gotten the guts to talk to you, but you just had to go over there. Had to ask him some questions. Now he's gonna be your best friend forever. Stalkerbeard.
Good discussion today, huh? Hit some deep spots in my heart. Really?
He started exaggeratingly knocking on his chest with a fist, closing his eyes and lowering his head. That is adorable. Please go away. OP, yeah, I can relate. I replied as shortly as possible, not even turning to face him and continuing to cuddle with Liz. Liz, who was already observing the beard and his advances, and my barely 3-word reply, she considered this a signal to leave immediately. God, what a jerk. I'm not a fan. First she wants to do her little singing solo, and now you're leaving me in the lurch? What kind of friend are you? With friends like these, right? And leave she did, with a wink and a smug smile tossed in my face right as she ran off, leaving me one-on-one with Stalkerbeard. She's awful. We got 2 antagonists. In the short 10 to 15 minutes there was left of the meeting's runtime, I knew everything I needed and did not need to know about Stalkerbeard. My knowledge on the events in his life had surpassed even his own mother's. Some of them more than explained his weird behavior, like he was paralyzed during his childhood until the 4th grade. What? How does that work? You just like unparalyzed? He's like, yeah, Jesus healed me. Oh, sweet. You know, that is the age when kids usually make friends and learn to socialize and differentiate boundaries and social cues. Yeah, that is where his awkwardness and weirdness stems from. He also was bullied because of that later, but he beat down his bullies with animal rage so inhuman that even Goku trembled in fear of him. At least by his own account, I guess. Which I think both then and now was an attempt to oppress the female with his dominance. Yeah, that's really weird, bro. I mean, I do think that animal dominance is a thing, but usually you don't want to talk about it. You just display it to your female, and she'll be impressed. She'll say she doesn't like it, but deep down I think she likes it. Ask wifey about it sometime. Stalkerbeard also had a whole lot of family issues, and his family had issues with being unemployed and alcoholic and living in poverty and all of the stuff that comes with that. God, that's rough, dude. Now you've humanized the beard a bit. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit bad for coming after him. Maybe that beat up guitar is all he has. I hope he plays his way to the top. And then I'm probably gonna take that wish right back later on in the story. Well, I did recognize that I was being trauma dumped in his hopes of getting any sort of sympathy out of me right then and there. I still heard him out and consoled the guy. One of the traits that ruins my life more and more each day is my inability to turn my head on anyone in distress, even if I don't personally sympathize with this person. It's a good trait to have, OP. Yeah, it complicates things, but I think it's also a very human thing. Hold on to that, for God's sake. As time passed, quickly for others and painfully slow for me, the meeting finally came to an end. Clinging on to the opportunity to help bring in the tables and games back to the church like my life depended on it, I ran away from Stalkerbeard and his confessions before they could get any darker. Yeah, it's just around the corner, I promise you. We are headed for the darkest depths. Best to get out now. Just like me, Liz was helping to move the stuff too, and she was very curious about the mini date that she had set me on with Stalkerbeard. Liz, so, How is he? You kissed him yet? She asked, jokingly smooching her lips. I think you punch her in the lips. I don't need your help. OP says, this man just told his entire biography and address to a woman that he met less than 2 hours ago. I'm surprised he managed to survive this long with social skills like that. Liz? Oh, wow. It's even worse than I imagined. Any credit card info? OP, if you're interested, go ask yourself. I've had plenty of talking for today, especially with him. Liz? Damn. Well, now you gotta fill me in on that biography of his, you know? You'd know everything if you hadn't abandoned me. I'm not rewarding you for your poor friendship. Photosynthesis never talked about his family or home life at all to Liz, and avoided any questions about it, so Liz was naturally very interested about what was actually going on. And with the source as open as Stalkerbeard, she had now switched from worrying about dragging me into her info digging to viewing me as a message owl to get closer to this guy that she liked by me interacting with his brother. No, do not be a guinea pig. The worst friend. Not to say that I wasn't interested in this scheme myself, but it was more of a car crash type of interested, and not like I could ever say no to the puppy eye torture that I was subjected to every time I denied Liz's request. After all the furniture was back in its place and the yard had been cleaned up, the meeting officially ended and the attendants started to leave. It was really late at 11 p.m., so the organizers had us in groups by the direction that our homes were in. Sadly, Liz lived in another direction from me. Gladly, Stalkerbeard did as well. As the groups were formed and we started to leave, we said our goodbyes and headed home. All the kids that lived near my place had already left because, well, they were kids and they weren't allowed to stay up very late. So I was walking by myself until I wasn't. Who would Stalkerbeard be without the stalker part of his name, after all? Wait, you're going alone? OP, yeah?
Aren't you scared? It's dark, and you're walking past the graveyard alone.
OP, no. I walk this road every day, and it's the same like this in winter when it's already dark, so I'm used to it. I wish it could just be more direct, but yeah, it's a bad situation. You gotta pick the time and place. Right now, maybe you just have to endure it, but it is infuriating. And with this, the milady had rejected Stalkerbeard's proposition to walk her home. Quick, while there's still a chance, think of something, Stalkerbeard. Stalkerbeard,
well, it's cold, and you're still in a t-shirt and shorts. You want to take my hoodie, at least?
Oh, see, there it is. He wants to hook her in for a second interaction to get the hoodie back. No, I'm good. I'd rather freeze to death. Thank you. Hypothermia sounded pretty good about now. Ah, yes. The gentleman handing his coat to the milady to keep her from freezing. What a classic. Except it was literally the middle of summer, and it was still warm, even at night. OP, I'll pass. It's not that cold, and I prefer not to take things that aren't mine. Oh, you're doing such a good job stonewalling him. Don't let him see any chip in your armor. Don't let him dig his hooks in. Just keep stonewalling him all the way home and probably stop off at a house that isn't yours and like climb through the backyard or something. Or else he'll know where you live, which is not good. Stalkerbeard.
Are you sure? You look pretty cold, though.
I wasn't. And he knew that very well. One of the reasons that I did not take that hoodie was also quite obvious. The smell. The godforsaken smell of a guy who wore a hoodie over a shirt in the summer heat all day long and sweated excessively when talking to me on top of that. Ugh, The nervous flop sweat. I have a very, very weak sense of smell that played a part while I was talking to Stalkerbeard earlier, but now that he started to take it off and hand it to me, my weak sense of smell was bombarded with a smell so obnoxious, I thought the plants near the road we were walking on were gonna wither away and die in an instant. That bad, huh? I guess it was all cooped up in the sweater. Now the sweater's off and the stench could just unfold itself everywhere. I can't even imagine how he smelled to a regular person. Oh, and did I mention, all the time that we were talking, he just invited himself to follow me home, even after I said I would go alone. Twice. And as we walked, we talked some more about rock music and religion and anime. There was a lot of bubbling and even more cringe, but the parts that I consider important are when he fanboyed over isekai animes and associated himself with the main character from Shield Hero that was trending at the time, and he believed that humans were imported on Earth by aliens on God's command. Somewhere along the way, I think you might have lost the plot. That's probably not something that you want to share with somebody the first time you meet them, is it? The dinosaur bones was put in the ground by Satan to test us. Okay, bye. I really wanted to ask him if he thought the Earth was flat too, but I refrained from doing so. As we were nearing my house, I tried to talk him off so he wouldn't know where I live. Oh God, OP. He's gonna find out this was his plan all along. This was doomed to fail by his inability to read the atmosphere and social cues. OP, thanks for walking me home. You really didn't have to, though. Stalkerbeard.
My pleasure. Is that your home?
Very subtle. OP? No, I live further down the street. The lights aren't working there, so I'll go alone from here. Stalkerbeard.
I have a flashlight on my phone. I could walk you down some more.
God damn it, dude. No, thank you. OP? Yeah, I got a flashlight on my phone too. Won't you get yelled at if you don't hurry home? It's a long walk for you from here. Stalkerbeard.
No, I'm good. If it's down the street, I actually have a shortcut to my street back there.
Oh my God, I don't even know how you could peel him off. This is the worst, dude. I would hate to be in this situation. At dark, alone with this creep. I guess this is when you pull out the pepper spray. He thought you were acquaintances until you pepper sprayed him in the eyes and ran to your house. Now, I have lived on this street my entire life. I know it like the palm of my hand. There was no possible shortcut to his street 2 kilometers away from here. He, for some reason, really wanted to walk me right to my house, right to the doorstep. And as I tried talking him out of walking me home, we had actually approached my place. Mission Stay Anonymous failed. We'll get him next time. OP, that's it. Now, for sure, thanks for walking me. I tried to politely end the conversation while slipping through the fence gate into my yard. Stalkerbeard.
Always a pleasure. You know, I haven't had a talk this interesting with a girl for quite a while.
Or ever, probably. He said, and he was also slipping through the fence gate into my yard. What the hell? No. Kick him in the face. Where's the pepper spray for reals? It's not a joke this time. OP, how about your girlfriend? I played the bluff card, hoping that if he indeed had a girlfriend, his guilt reflex would kick in and he'd finally stop following me around. also leaving the gate open and blocking the way further, signaling him to leave aggressively. He, however, did not have a girlfriend. Whoa, I'm shocked. And somehow he interpreted my question as a plea to have him tell me all about his intimate life. Oh, what? I don't have one. I did have 4, but I dumped him after a while. I'm sure you did. OP. Oh, you must be a real Casanova then. Stalkerbeard. Yeah. 2 of them told me that I was too nice for them, and they felt uncomfortable because of it even. What the hell is happening here? If there is a God, can he save me from this? It's hurting me so deep down. By 4 girlfriends, he means 4 different tube socks, right? That's what he's talking about. Lefty, righty, and a pair of crunchy socks. When I tell you that this man was so hard to get through to, in our language we like to call this like peas against the wall, meaning the words hit them head on, but still didn't get through. Interesting phraseology, honestly. However, in this case, the peas did not even reach the wall. I stopped responding so as not to engage in conversation anymore, and just made a surprised face in answer to him. I don't think it's enough to stop responding. You also have to like shut him out, you know? No response, no nothing, okay, bye, close the gate. And if he stands out there and calls to you, then run in the house and get the pepper spray. He said, yeah, I know. The other one was on the internet, and with her it was going better. We even exchanged pictures. You know the kind. Oh, tell me no more. But then it turned out she was talking to other guys, so I had to dump her too. OP? Damn, that's rough, buddy. I quoted a meme from Avatar. You said it. And then there was one that things were good with for the most part, but we parted because she was jealous. Because I preferred jerking it more than being with her. If my spine was not powder already. Oh, thank God we're almost at the end. I'm going to put off part 2 for a long time because this, I just can't with this. Nope. No. Nuh-uh. Not a single word more. I get it, just talking about exes, but in no way do I need to hear about this beard's bedroom endeavors. OP? Damn, I don't even know what to say to that. But you know, if we're gonna hang out here all night, not only will I get yelled at because of walking home with a dude at night, but there's a greater chance that your face will get smacked in too, you know? Tough discipline at my house, Stalkerbeard. Oh, I get it. Save it by OP, so good night. It's exactly what you gotta do. Do not open up any further lines of conversation. Thanks again for the walk and the talk. I said all this before he could open his mouth again, holding the gate's handle, literally pointing at the exit, and bye-bye. Stalkerbeard. Guess so. Good night then, OP. Hearing my name creeps me out as it is, but hearing it from his lips creeps me out to the max. Right as he left the yard, I closed the gate and rushed to the house, whipping out the keys and unlocking the door with marathon runner speed, all in the black of night with no lights at all, just so you can understand how uncomfortable I was. Walking to the kitchen window, I checked if he left already, and what do you know? There he stood, just admiring my yard through the fence for around 5 more minutes before he left. Oh, the 5 minutes must have felt like an eternity. That's enough time to run back in and grab the shotgun, isn't it? This is terrible. After getting my thoughts sorted and deciding never to cross paths with this guy anymore, I told Liz all about this evening through Instagram. A couple of memes and a chat with her did manage to calm me down, and in a couple of hours I was peacefully sleeping, not even knowing about the storm that was about to unravel in the 8 hours of my possibly calm last night. Honestly, I don't know why you would even take this business to Liz. She's the one that left you in the lurch in the first place. She could have pulled you out and she purposely decided not to. Stalkerbeard is not out there just admiring the yard in the middle of the night. He's looking for places that he can come and go without getting caught. Ugh. I hope you're locking your doors. I hope you're buying some personal defense system of some sort. This is not going to turn out well, dude. During the first interaction, I'm like, oh, haha, cringy dude. He has some, big ambitions that he'll never achieve. But by the end of it, like I said, I take all the wishes that he would make it away. He is through and through a creep. Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Thank you so much. Today we're jumping back into that old Christian wannabe Rockstar. You remember that dude? He followed some chick home and made it really, really uncomfortable. Some people in the comments pointed out that he didn't do anything actively malicious aside from being socially unaware. I think I'm just sort of bracing myself for the parts that come next, because it's gonna devolve from there. If that's the baseline that we're starting at, things aren't possibly gonna get better if it ended up on the subreddit, right? So I guess we'll just have to see how dark this part can get. Check out links in the description, Twitch, of course. I have promised myself that I will get back on there eventually, but we'll get some additional plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will dive right into some of this r/NeckbeardStories cringe. Christian Rockstar Stalkerbeard Part 2, The Great Stalking. And not like a stalk of corn or nothing either. It's like the bad kind, alright? Warning for a mild description of triggering topics, including domestic happenings, mental health, and some gross, intimate sort of talk. Well, we'll see what the YouTube censor think to that one, right? Probably don't like it none too much, but we're gonna work through it. It's gonna be fine, probably. Hello, internet! Hello, user Sova tells stories. Yours truly, slow storyteller Sova, here again. A quick recap of the story so far and the cast before we start. Sova, 15 at the time, was lured with free food to the Christian youth meeting by her childhood friend Liz, underestimated the dangers of approaching the Neckbeard in disguise, and is now Stalkerbeard's new obsession. Liz is 16, supposedly older and wiser, right? Lured Sova to the Christian youth meeting with that free food. Seeing how Sova's cringe addiction had fished out a lot of personal info about a boy she was interested in, she had indulged me to talk with Stalkerbeard even more. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Photosynthesis is 15, lured Liz to the Christian youth meeting with that oft-mentioned free food. The adequate brother of Stalkerbeard, a soon-to-be youth pastor who doesn't really play a very big part in the story. But he exists, and sometimes that's enough, I guess. Stalkerbeard was 19, entrusted his entire life story in exquisite detail to a girl who asked him about the pencil in his guitar strings. He then proceeded to follow said girl to her home in the dead of night, ignoring all of her requests for him to specifically not do so. A self-proclaimed Christian rock star and composer. Oh, that is so generous. But you know, sometimes you gotta rock the label before it develops. Not once in my life did I ever call myself like a wannabe YouTuber or whatever. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm a YouTuber, damn it. So maybe he's on the right path, just going about it the wrong way. And so we continue our story. Waking up the next morning, being a fellow phone addict, first thing I did was check the time and my notifications. Big blurry numbers on the screen showed 1 p.m. Just makes sense to start the day at 1, honestly. As my eyes woke up a bit later, I started to read the notifications under. New memes from lists, new comments under a recent art post, new messages from the art group that I was in, and a new message request on Instagram. Rockstar so-and-so had sent me a message.
Hi, it's Stalkerbeard from the youth meeting. Did you sleep well?
Bro, he went directly home and found you on social media. This is not good. This is not good. Between wondering how the hell he even knew my socials, since I never told them to anyone, and being too embarrassed to share my art and too shy to post selfies, and why he thought that sending a good morning text already was okay, I had to wonder when he had managed to find me. He had a long night last night, let me tell you. Kept himself quite occupied, this 19-year-old man, looking for a 15-year-old girl's social media. Not so innocent now, is he, comment section? The messages were sent at 1 a.m. As I said before, I have 2 accounts. One being my art account, where I can be my weird self, and the other being a decoy with selfies and nature pics. For the normal people. The messages were sent to the photo account. Stalkerbeard sat there at 1 a.m. looking at my photos. I brushed thoughts of what a guy like him might do while looking at my photos in the middle of the night before they could manifest themselves visually. Ugh. And I took a look at that guy's profile instead. And it looked normal, at least at first sight. An edgy profile pic with a black cross and angel wings and some photo of nature and his guitar. No pics of himself. Subscribed to mostly deep quotes and Christian accounts, but as I scrolled through the photos that he had posted, I noticed something. They were all in my area. Posted on the same day, even in the same hour. Each at 5 a.m. today. Yeah, this is not going well. I think even I underestimated how busy a night he might have had. I had a major something is not right feeling that grew only more with each pic that I looked through. And lo and behold, the cherry on top, a picture of flower bushes that were growing in my own front yard. God, dude, what are you doing? Stalkerbeard was walking at 5 in the morning, taking pictures of my area. Probably staring into my yard for God knows why and God knows how long, and then he posted them on Instagram. Oh my God! If the red flag, if the siren alerts weren't going off quite yet, oh, it's time to move. Tell your parents we gotta pack up everything. We gotta go now. After getting some breakfast and doing some self-care, I had gathered enough courage to ask about what the hell was going on. OP, hi. How did you manage to get my Insta exactly? I don't remember telling it to you yesterday. Stalkerbeard replying instantly.
Lissy told me. So you're coming today? You seemed to like it yesterday.
Oh my God, Liz, again, what are you doing out here? Last episode, she totally threw OP to the wolves, and she has done it yet again. With friends like these, I say again. Liz hated being called Lissy. Everyone knew that Liz hated being called Lissy, and Stalkerbeard either considered it to not be a big deal, calling her that in front of her best friend, or had negative stats when it came to social adaptation. I would bank on the negative stats. I don't know what kind of debuffs he's rocking, but it runs deep. It's not easy to fix, all right? OP, I'm not sure about that. I'll ask Liz if Liz is free, and maybe we, with Liz, will think about it. By the way, you seem to be an early walker. I looked through all your posts, and they're all from today at 5 a.m. Stalkerbeard.
Oh, yeah. I just like to learn some chords in the canyon when there's nobody around. It makes me feel like I'm a character in anime.
Yes, the spine powder is strong today, isn't it? I understand you're trying to, like, pretend that you're a deep and interesting person, but it's not working, man. Why you gotta be like this? OP, you also seem to like the flowers in my front yard, huh? While being good at avoiding awkwardness in conversations, OP was also good at making conversations awkward on purpose, making Stalkerbeard at least conscious of how creepy and weird his actions were by asking uncomfortable questions without a way to dodge the answer, and that was the greatest option that I had at the time. After torturing him with them and some more and then ghosting, I had a phone call with a certain someone. Liz, hey, what's up? OP, hi. Do you know where exactly did Stalkerbeard get my Insta from? Liz, I told him, but don't worry, it was the decoy account. You are just so not helpful, you know that? OP, a decoy account with my photos. The guy who escorted me home and talked about him jerking it casually was staring at my photos at 1 a.m. doing God knows what. Liz, what the hell? Why did you even give it to him in the first place? Liz, hold on, 1 a.m.? You seem to be missing the point of this conversation. OP, yeah, why? Liz, we talked at 12, like 12:30 max. OP, don't tell me that creep was on my page for at least a half hour before messaging me. Liz, maybe he was gathering courage to text you? Who knows? OP, yeah, I sure do hope that it was just that. Liz, or worst case scenario, you know he likes you, even post-nut clarity. God. Don't you just want to strangle her with a piano wire? You are really making this situation so much worse. Could you not? All the things that you're doing, just not anymore. Okay, please, thanks. We went for a couple of hours joking about his creepy advances, but in the end we decided that just ignoring him would probably be the best thing to do. So we haven't gone back to the cult, as we called it, for some time. Of course, Stalkerbeard still enthusiastically commented about every new pic I posted in my DMs, trying to initiate a conversation with all that he had. Just block him, dude. Pull the trigger. He's my dog. I'll do it. Photosynthesis had for some reason started to ask me more questions. I suppose that he had become sort of the message owl from Stalkerbeard to me now. After things calmed down and Stalkerbeard stopped annoying me, Liz once again asked me to go out to the cult with her. No, never again! She herself spent a lot of time there because free food and evenings around the campfire with friends. Liz was like a fish in a fishbowl. Unlike me, who on top of her social anxiety now also had a guy openly crushing on her and waiting there. Nothing better to change my mind than some puppy eye torturing, and once again I was back on the stage. While I was still bullied by younger kids right in the face about how I was a loner, Stalkerbeard was not on the horizon, thankfully. And if he was, he just quietly played his guitar in the corner of the pavilion, eyeing me, but not approaching to talk. Sometime later, I let my guard down about him and just had a good time, talking with others and cuddling with Liz. I too became a part of the group, specifically the art aunt or the mom friend. Not the worst place to be, if I'm quite frank about it. Just stick with the group no matter what you do, alright? There's safety in numbers. At some point, I felt okay with talking about it, so I fished photosynthesis out of the crowd to talk about his bro's behavior earlier. After a brief explanation of the situation and my feelings towards it, he answered. Photosynthesis, well, he did lie about 4 girlfriends and about beating up his bullies. Knew it. OP says knew it, I say knew it. Nobody was believing that. Photosynthesis continues, but he's always like this. You know about this already, but his paralysis did play a part in his social skills. OP, I get that. That's why I was so straightforward with saying no, and yet he still pushed on even harder. Photosynthesis, and where are you going with this? OP, can't you tell him that maybe he's pushing a bit too hard for somebody that he just met? Photosynthesis, why can't you do it yourself if it bothers you this much? Because he's your brother, you idiot. It's gonna be a lot better coming from you than from me. He might actually listen to you. But OP just says, I can't. Just can't. Can't do any kind of confrontation, knowing what the other's reaction will be. I don't want to hurt him, but I also don't want him hurting me. Photosynthesis, well, he hasn't hurt you yet, has he? So just let the gut be happy for a while. Not like he can do anything. Oh, that's what we're waiting for, until he actually hurts somebody. Your strategy is horrible. I don't know what else I expected, but come on, man. And then, I don't know what, maybe that short talk with photosynthesis or maybe becoming a part of the group had me overthinking about Stalkerbeard. Yeah, he was creepy and pushy, but that's just how some people show their affection after being deprived of the attention that they seek and then suddenly receiving it. Don't make excuses for him. Go with your gut on this one, please. So I, again, underestimated the threat that is Stalkerbeard and decided to have a deeper look into him. That meaning, now we sometimes talked over Instagram about his anime interests and rock music, his song lyrics specifically, among other small talk. He also started coming to hang out with us and Liz, tagging along with photosynthesis. Oh, great. Though most of the time he just made unfunny jokes and stood aside, blushing like a tomato, there were a lot more times like the first entry where he tried to walk me home, but now I was escorted by a school friend of mine who also went to the cult. Introducing Angel! 16 years old, tall and lanky with blue eyes and dirty blonde hair. We met at my second school 2 years before and became besties very quickly. We both write and draw, and he considered me his teacher at both of those things. We both love medicine and dark fantasy and overall share the same tastes. He's a Christian and actually became the next spokesperson of those cult meetings a little later on. Oh yes, he, you said? There's gonna be some jealousy here. This is gonna take a turn real quick, you mark my words. You see, after the first and only time Stalkerbeard had walked me home in the dead of night, my caregiver was convinced that I was going out on dates with him, lying that I went to church just so that she'd shut up about me being atheist. I had a beating or a mental breakdown every evening when I came back, which was slowly eating away what was left of my sanity. She also didn't believe that I was walking alone after the first time. She was convinced that Stalkerbeard was still walking me home, but just turning away a few houses before ours, so that my caregiver wouldn't notice him. So the friend that I was walking home with now was her favorite, and therefore would grant me the beating pass, letting me go to sleep with just the mental breakdown at the end of the day. Oh, what a treat. That's a horrible situation to be in. I'm sorry I had to go through that, OP. You definitely weren't kidding about the tough discipline line in the last part. I would go probably beyond that, and I would say, yes, excessive discipline. None of this is okay, but maybe it does explain some things. The advantages of attending the cult overshadowed one giant disadvantage, which was Stalkerbeard, and I would continue coming there with Liz, who was beaten if she had photosynthesis walk her home, even after the summer break was over, on school weekends and on free evenings. Jesus, dude, this is like a normal thing? This is so not okay, but I don't know, different culture or something like that maybe. It has been known to happen from time to time. Still doesn't feel right. Speaking of school, Liz and I had just enrolled into the same college. Because of that, I had to move from the outskirts of town into an apartment in the town center. Of course, my helicopter caregiver wouldn't let me live alone, so she moved in with me. Okay. Isn't this the part where you're supposed to be like gaining a sense of independence? She's sort of stunting that growth for you, is she not? Living in the same room with her now meant an utter and complete loss of any personal space and independence that I had left, along with my ability to sleep, of course. So the cult meetings became the place for me, where I could be at least somewhat free for at least 4 hours in a day. With that, the contact that we had with Stalkerbeard was strengthened, since now I attended a lot more, and I had to talk with him, even if only out of politeness. He was held back in the second year for failing the math exam for the 3rd time in a row, but now that I moved, I did feel easier talking to him, because he had no idea that I had moved, and he still stalked my old home instead of the new one. Well, that is some sort of reassurance, I guess. And so comes the next incident, which happened at one of the usual evenings that we spent at the cult. As usual, I came to the meeting and seated myself near Angel or Liz, and as usual, Stalkerbeard had seated himself next to me as soon as he noticed my arrival. He was now wearing glasses, which were the exact same style as mine. Maybe he just wants to become you, like steal your whole life. This would make a hell of a horror movie. Stalkerbeard.
Hey, OP. Have you seen my text yet?
OP. No. Was it on Insta? Stalkerbeard.
Yeah, it was. No worries, I could show you now.
He blabbered excitedly, looking for his phone in all 8 pockets that he currently had on him.
I finished the last song that I told you about. Want to read the lyrics?
OP. The one about your ex? Stalkerbeard.
Not exactly the ex, but rather the feelings I had when she left. So?
We already know that the ex is fake, so who did you actually write this song about? Not only are you weird and creepy, but you're also a liar. You're lying to my face right now. OP said the same thing that she said every single time he offered for her to read his lyrics. I'm not a fan of Russian songs. You know that, right? Stalkerbeard.
Yeah, I know, but I also know you'll love this one.
My plea to stop was once again ignored, as he was already scrolling through the gallery looking for the screenshots. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not, but it just doesn't bode well if somebody doesn't seem to know what the word no is supposed to mean, right? As he went from folder to folder, I noticed a familiar photo. OP. Hey, what was that just now? Stalkerbeard.
What?
He asked, hiding his phone from my view. The guiltiest action possible. OP, that photo that you scrolled through. Let me take a look. Stalkerbeard.
It's nothing. I think the lyrics matter more right now.
Oh yes, this is good and awkward, isn't it? I knew what I saw, so I leapt into Stalkerbeard's lap and stole his phone while he was still flustered by sudden contact with a female's body, and what do you know? There I was, staring at myself from the screenshot of my recent Instagram post with Lys's new kitten. And then, once again, from the previous screenshotted post, and then again. Stalkerbeard had screenshotted and cropped every photo of my face or body from the very few photos that I had on Insta. As my gaze slowly averted from the gallery to Stalkerbeard's iconic beet red face, with his eyes looking anywhere but at me, I started a new interrogation. OP, that's some nice lyrics you got there. I do love these new ones just a little bit. Stalkerbeard.
Oh, yeah, those. You see, I downloaded a new editing app the other day, and I wanted to test it out.
OP. Huh. Nice app. Almost can't see any of the changes. Stalkerbeard.
I only added a few filters, but the photos themselves are good, so they don't need very much changing.
OP, I'll take that as a compliment. Why my photos, though? You have plenty of others. Stalkerbeard.
Those are saved into a different folder.
OP, wanna give me a look? Stalkerbeard, being very uncomfortable and possibly very ashamed.
Oh, look, I found the lyrics. Finally. Phew, I thought I deleted them for a moment.
Yeah, nice diversion tactic. Now, about those other photos you've edited, I do have a passion for photo editing, especially on photos that aren't of me. Do you have any photos here that aren't of me? God, this is horrifying. Don't let him get away with it. The lyrics were indeed about his ex, very corny, and mostly consisted of the same phrases repeating over and over again. As he told me later, the music was supposed to be the instrumental from some Hollywood undead song, and he just needed to record his singing to release it. He didn't release it though, ever, just like many of his creations. Honestly, it's probably for the best. What do you think, we're missing out on another Mozart here? No, it's fine. And me being, well, me, having been written into many other writers' fanfics, had fallen victim to Stalkerbeard as well. He had written a song that was quote-unquote inspired by me. About me. I can't really recall what it was about. And sadly, I can't even find our text history since I blocked him, so I can't tell you what it was about. But I can definitely tell you that the quality was ever so poor, and the lyrics were ever so cringe and corny. With each day, I had more and more problems, be it at home, at college, or with this emotional vampire that I had as a friend on the internet. Completely drained. I no longer had energy to withstand the meetings and, of course, Stalkerbeard more specifically. Eventually, I stopped coming. Not that it could have saved me from being stalked, however. Now that he had to attend school, he needed money for transport. And where do the jobless guys who play guitar make money? Well, in the most populated areas of town, of course. Just ask Ramtide, I guess. Those being the parks and the shops and the town square, all of which were surrounding my apartment. Oh no, he's gonna suss out where you live now. He's gonna follow you home, to your new home. Oh no. Against my own will, or by pure coincidence, I would at first run into Stalkerbeard strumming away on his guitar all day. Then he would start coming to these spots in hopes of us meeting again. And soon, I would be scared to go outside because he would always be there, waiting patiently for our quote-unquote
coincidental meeting.
Yes, what a coincidence. You incessantly waited in a place that you knew I would eventually be. How coincidental! And one day, as I was coming home from the shop, I had a run-in with an old acquaintance of mine, a Neckbeard acquaintance to be exact. She was hanging out in the town square with her gang, and she called me out to have a chat. She was another person to not be ashamed to share very intimate information out in public. So as I stood there, bombarded with details about her having some group action at a party, I saw a familiar shape approaching us, and of course it was the Stalkerbeard. If I had to choose between hearing a recollection of a 150-kilogram woman peeing on herself while being and a guy rambling about Christian rock, you bet I chose the latter. This is definitely caught between a rock and a hard place, quite literally, in this situation, if you sit back and think about it for a minute. But I'm trying not to think about it too much. I don't have to choose either one. I take the third option, run away screaming. But OP does wave her hand, cheerfully calling out, "Hey, Stalkerbeard, long time no see. How's the day today? Good performance, huh?" I had planned on using this guy's dullness to get away from the Neckbeard. Sneaking away from him was way easier than sneaking away from her, or so I thought. Oh no. I saw it in my mind's eye, and it's all coming to pass just as predicted! Stalkerbeard.
Hey, OP. Not too bad. But could have been better for our town's first rock player.
Neckbeard.
Wow, you know each other! Really long time no see, Stalkerbeard!
Stalkerbeard then noticed who exactly I was talking to.
Oh, hi, Neckbeard.
OP, you two know each other? Neckbeard.
Yep, we went to the same school. Didn't expect to meet you here after you talked so big about getting into
our country's best music-oriented institute. Yes, he is known for lying, isn't he? Stalkerbeard did do his best to buzz my ears off about him wanting to get into that institute. Today, I figured out that he had been talking about it for all 3 years, that he had been held back for his second year after failing the graduation exams. Neckbeard and Stalkerbeard clashed in a beard battle, exchanging passive-aggressive compliments for a while. My plan to quickly escape Neckbeard had failed, and had now grown into an even more uncomfortable conversation. So I resorted to the most unoriginal yet efficient excuse. OP. Oh, sorry I got so caught up, I forgot I had some dairy on me. I gotta get home before it spoils in this heat. As I was waving my goodbyes, I caught Stalkerbeard's face getting sour. Now that I was going home, he was left alone with one of the people that he clearly didn't want to talk with. One of the people that nobody wants to talk with. And feeling responsible for dragging him into it, I gave him a way to leave as well. No! No! OP, could you help me bring the bags in, Stalkerbeard? Sorry to ask, it's just Stalkerbeard.
No, it's okay. I'll help. Bye, guys.
You're gonna lead him right to your home after you know how he is? Oh God! You can't do this to yourself. Help me to help you. Ugh. And so both of us left the battleground, and since it was only a minute-long walk from there to my place, I circled a bit with Stalkerbeard, now stuck on my tail, not understanding that I, in fact, had no dairy products and needed no help bringing home a bag with a single loaf of bread and 4 apples in it. Once again, in my foolishness, I revealed my address to him. Stalkerbeard.
Wait, but don't you live near the canyon?
OP, no. We moved recently, Stalkerbeard.
Oh, I see. You never told anyone, though?
OP, I like to keep my problems to myself. And that was true. Even Liz didn't know that we moved until a couple of days before packing the furniture. I'm surprised she didn't reveal that information to Stalkerbeard if I'm honest about it. And Stalkerbeard was the last person that I ever wanted to know, but now he was standing in front of our apartment complex, following me right up to my doorstep once again. All my efforts to waste the time and not actually go inside in hopes of him being late for something had been ruined when my caregiver showed up in the doorframe. Oh, double oof. This is the worst thing ever, dude. Now I had to avoid a beating, so I introduced him as the boy who had just helped me to bring back the groceries. She, of course, asked him to go in for a cup of tea to interrogate him for herself. For the next few hours, I was explaining how and why we met today. He told her all of the positive things about him, and in the end, played her a guitar solo. All the while stinking up the place with his dirty shoes that, judging by the toxicity of that smell, had been washed around, never! Despite that, the stinky boy did manage to get the heart of my caregiver, and for the cherry on top, he now knew my new address. Ugh. So, for the next 3 months of autumn, he walked every morning to the bus stop in front of our apartment, now glaring directly into our windows. Oh god, you gotta put like aluminum foil over the windows or something like that. Helps against Stalkerbeards, helps against government spy planes. They say that they're birds, but I know what's really going on. I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy. You're driving me crazy. All those factors had a great toll on my mental health, of course. Honestly, probably not the best time for me to make a crazy joke, but we're sticking with it. And I was crying myself to sleep every night. Even if I even got to sleep, I was regularly getting smacked and had literal hysteria caused by my caregiver on a daily basis. I was failing college, being threatened with being cut off of my only income and going right back into poverty, and I was sure that nothing could possibly go even worse, which Stalkerbeard had in fact made a whole lot worse in his next doings. You literally moved, you were literally out of the frying pan and now you just dropped yourself into the fryer because you felt bad for him after all that he's done? And again, I guess he hasn't done anything too malicious, actively malicious at least. But again, I really am just fearing what comes next. This entire situation, it's not going to be good. It's not helping out anybody that's involved with it. I guess we'll just have to brace ourselves for the worst. Christian Rockstar Stalkerbeard, part number 3. Did you date a Neckbeard, bro? Bro, I think she dated a Neckbeard, bro. Bro, get over here. Look at this, bro. Trigger warning contains some dark thoughts and some threats to animals. Oh, leave the animals alone, bruh. They didn't do nothing except be like way more adorable and likable than you. Happy new school year, internet. Oh, hooray, already? Yours, trying not to fail college again this year. It is Sova here again with perhaps the juiciest part of the Stalkerbeard saga. Oh yeah, a very vulnerable part of the story for me to talk about. Oh my. And if I have a way of removing the sensitive parts without letting you know the important stuff, then let me know. First off, links, short story, characters recap. Yeah, part 1, part 2. There was the great stalking in part 2, okay? Although it didn't take much cleverness on our Neckbeard's part. It was mostly OP dropping the ball. I just got caught like it is. But yes, our OP is Sova, 15, kind-hearted, or rather spineless introvert, who was trapped by her inability to say no. and a series of unfortunate events, and is now being mildly stalked by Stalkerbeard. Yeah, just mildly. Because of that, now is too anxious to leave the apartment, currently failing college, and is intensely psychologically abused by her caregiver for that reason. Bruh, it's time to get up and out, maybe. At 15, yeah, what are you gonna do? This wild ride. Liz is 16, Sova's childhood friend, not my favorite, if I can interject, regularly visits cult meetings for free all-you-can-eat buffets and evening free time with photosynthesis. The information dealer for Stalkerbeard thinks that his advances towards Sova are so cute. Started figuring out that she likes photosynthesis and now spends more time with him than ever. I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. It's time to get up and out. This situation is untenable. Photosynthesis is 15, Stalkerbeard's little brother and the cult's speaker. Had already figured out that he likes Liz a while ago. Now he's very enthusiastic about double dates involving him and Liz, as well as OP and Stalkerbeard, which is why he actively encourages Stalkerbeard in his fantasies. Jesus, dude. With friends like these, right? Come on. Stalkerbeard is 19. 19? Going after 15? Get him against the wall. Get him against the wall! A self-proclaimed Christian rock star, writer, and photographer. Actually a stinky boy with no social skills whatsoever. Fell lovesick with Sova at first sight. Is now waiting for her all around her apartment complex and the college. Stalks her social media as well as her windows, and is convinced that Sova is in love with him just because she showed him some basic human decency. I'm a big advocate of basic human decency, but I don't know, man. You give them an inch, they take a mile. Just stay in your lane. Don't get involved. That's been my strategy so far, and I'm not dead yet, so I'm sticking with it. Angel is 16, Sova's best friend from a previous school. Supports the thought that Stalkerbeard is indeed a stalker, helps Sova get out of the house when things get bad, and overall cares about her mental health. See? The best friend from the previous school is the actual best friend. Everybody else is just useless. Look at this. We're not even back into the story. I'm already like feeling the frustration build. But okay, here we go. Since we moved, our cat had moved with us. There was no way that I'd go anywhere without my fat, feral, gray cotton ball, even if he tore my face apart in the process. He didn't like living at the new place at all. Always nervous, refused to eat, screamed at night, and went potty under the couch instead of in his litter box. Yeah, he's feeling a little bit exposed with this new environment, right? Just be patient with him. It's okay. I was working on it, and it seemed to be making progress. He was now going outside to play and started to eat, but the caregiver was still unhappy about the night screaming and the puddles on the floor. She threatened me for a while about throwing my cat on the street or just straight up murdering him if he wouldn't stop. Bro, if you're coming for this cat, you gotta go through me. I don't even like cats, but I'm not gonna let this happen. If you have at least a bit of a heart, you know how much impact that kind of thing can have on you. I tried to brush it off, and she threatened me as well. And one day, I was back from college, and my cat was no longer around. Oh my God. I was searching for him for hours, crying, fearing the worst. When the caregiver came back home, she admitted that my cat is no longer allowed to live here. What? You just got rid of it? And where did it go, pray tell? I'm gonna bring the cat back. I'm gonna make sure that you move the hell out of here. You are no longer welcome here. I was glad to hear that she at least rode him off back to our old home, so even if he had no food or water, he at least had shelter. Look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs here, okay? Shelter is important, but food and water is even before that. Somebody make sure the cat eats, please. This is wild. I don't know what relationship you have with the caretaker or anything like that, but can we fire him? Is that like your parent and you just call him the caretaker because you don't get along with your parents? Or is it like literally a caregiver that you can fire? Because you should fire her. So, seeing how down I was feeling after she threw away my only joy and love, the caregiver allowed me to get a new kitten after a few days. under a condition that I'd immediately train it to not act up. Bruh, what? Yeah, that old cat's no good. Just throw it away. Like, bro, we've invested in that cat already. He can learn to get right. He's just going through a thing. That is the biggest, like, insult to injury sort of thing I've ever heard. Yeah, throw away your old cat, but I'll get you a new one. I don't want a new one. Maybe she had a sense of guilt of some sort. She had at least involved her relatives in the search for a kitten. Stalkerbeard was also aware that I was looking for a cat, and I'm surprised that his socially inept self didn't apply to be my kitten instead. Oh, don't give him any ideas. I insisted on picking one up from the street, as we had plenty of those running around, and they were under a constant threat of being drowned just because they were strays. Yeah, but can't we have the old cat back? Like, now that cat's a stray too? I'm still really concerned about this. I don't want new kitten. I don't like it. The caregiver wanted to just buy a kitten so she wouldn't have to spend money on flea and worm medication, but after seeing the price for the one that she wanted, which was a sterilized calico girl, she instantly changed her mind. Yeah, it'd be pricey like that too. Wanna know why it's pricey? Because you're supposed to be buying a friend for life. Not a friend that you instantly replace with a new, smaller friend. Just because Kitty's going through so... I'm so sad about that cat, man. I hate this whole kitten rant. So one day, caregiver's acquaintance barged into our apartment, holding the ugliest, boniest, feral, all covered in fleas and dirt kitten that I have ever seen in my life. And behind her was standing a tall, lanky figure, covered in black and poisoning the air with its rancid smell. Oh no, Stalkerbeard's gonna come in your house to visit the kitten he brought, isn't he? She had brought both a possibly sick stray animal and Stalkerbeard into my apartment. I immediately caught the cat and tried to calm it down, not noticing the second animal in the doorway. Of course, not planning to leave bed anytime soon that day, I was in my pajamas that were now mauled, but now they did have a curled up little kitten that I had finally managed to place in my lap. I sat in a loaf pose, thankfully covering part of my thighs. As the caregiver and her acquaintance were chatting in the kitchen, I sat in grief, looking at this ugly ass kitten. That's funny. This was going to replace my big fat feral cotton ball now. I was almost crying from the sheer nastiness of it. And Stalkerbeard sat across from me, also looking either at the cat or my thighs, trying to catch a glimpse of my pants, which I was covering up as much as I could, while also trying not to alert the cat. What are you doing here, Stalkerbeard? Wait, come on! I'm going back to the old house. I'm getting a job. I don't want to be here no mores. And of course, Soapy visits the old cat every day now, bringing food and water. I was also a delivery service for the caregiver, since every time I came back home, I had to bring something from the old place. Boxes of plates, clothes, canned food, all sorts of hoarder stuff. And since I now had an unsupervised and unlimited access to an old woman's medicine cabinet and a big plan in my head, I stocked up on sleeping pills. Oh, you better be careful with that. And why did I stock up on the sleeping pills, you might ask? For purposes, of course. All right, keep your secrets. I did buy a new first aid kit when we moved, so I didn't need the old medicines. I did some solo charity work as well, giving away spare meds for head, tooth, knee, backaches, and flu medicine as well to my acquainted homeless and alcoholic folks who had no money of their own for medicine, but definitely needed it. Well, good on you for helping out. Look at you go! One of those folks happened to be Stalkerbeard. What? He's homeless now? What's going on here? We were talking on the net one day, and he mentioned how it was only the middle of autumn and he already caught the flu. The savior complex of mine kicked in instantly, and so the next day, after feeding my cat and grabbing a couple of plants, I stocked up on flu meds as well, knowing that Stalkerbeard would probably be hanging around the area because I have seen him lurking on my way over here. He's not a very good stalker, is he? I gave it all up to chance. If we do meet, I'll help him. If we don't, I'll help myself by not being in his presence. Looks like a win-win situation to me. Yeah, but you know he's gonna pop up, don't you? He just can't help himself. And of course, the fates had decided for us to meet. A familiar voice called out to me when I was walking out of the barren field onto the main road. Stalkerbeard was sitting in front of the shop with his guitar and the guitar case opened in a way that you specifically had to go near them and you couldn't pretend to ignore him. Alright, so what you do is you carry your phone, right? Pretend you're looking at your phone and kick the case into the street. Despite that, he only had a couple of quarters inside the case. Stalkerbeard.
Hi, Sova. I thought you moved. Why are you here? And in the evening. Were you on your way to the youth meeting?
Oh yeah, that's definitely what it was. OP. No. Just had to pick up some stuff from my old place, I said, pointing at the plants in my hands. Not a, cash day, is it? Stalkerbeard.
Yeah, the colder it gets, the less people go out. But I still do, unlike those weaklings.
Yeah. And what do you have to show for it? 50 cents. I hope that's enough to cure your pneumonia. Considering... That's cold-blooded. Considering his poor financial situation, even when it got colder and I was already wearing sweaters and warm boots, he still had summer sports shoes and a thin sports jacket on. In the messages, he said he can't buy new boots either. He was struggling, beard or not, and I have a tendency to help even the people that I don't like. OP, you're just one of the good ones, you know? I have seen it since part 1, and yeah, I gotta encourage you, okay? Nobody should suffer like this, whether they are a neckbeard or not. You can help them get out of the hole, OP. And you do all this at the cost of your own health, I see. Hold this for a minute, I said, as I put the plants on the bench near him and I reached into my backpack, retrieving 2 full packs of flu meds in one hand and a half-eaten chocolate bar in the other. Stalkerbeard.
What's this?
OP, you said that you were already sick, didn't you? Pretty sure you already know what flu meds are. I handed him the package. And this is to cover the bitterness. It's dark, but still sweeter than the pills. I snapped off a row of the chocolate, and I handed it to him. By the look in his eyes and how he started to get red, you could tell that this guy was living his anime romance fantasy in this moment. Though the chocolate part was just because it'd be rude if I started eating it right in front of him and didn't share. Before he could even gather his thoughts and start to engage in dialogue, I closed the backpack and took back the plants. OP, get well soon. Bye, said I, walking away quickly so he wouldn't follow. There you go, quick and painless. Or is it? Something tells me he's gonna follow anyways. He's gonna hold up his namesake. After this less than a minute talk, I didn't notice him very much. Maybe he disappeared out of my sight purposefully, or maybe it was because I isolated myself from everyone and didn't leave the bed for days on end. Things were getting worse by the hour. I tried talking to the energy vampire friend online, whom I supported 24/7, literally, but she just turned the situation into being about her, and I would always end up consoling her when it was I who was asking for help. God, that ain't no type of friend to have. It's not a two-way street. I'm not interested. Blocked. I already had a plan at this point. I was just waiting for the moment my ability to endure would collapse in on itself, and this was when I got a call from Liz. Oh, Liz isn't the energy vampire friend? I knew she wasn't, but kinda she is though. But OP does pick up and says, "Hey, what's up? You haven't called me in a while. Something happening?" Liz, like you don't know. Why am I always the last one to know what's going on with you? I started to panic. Did the online friend tell her that I wanted to OD? OP, what are you talking about? Liz, like you don't know. OP, it's because I don't know. I've had a lot going on recently. Liz, Stalkerbeard, when did you two start to date? Now that was something I was not expecting to hear. OP, this time you're wrong. I had no idea that him and I were supposedly dating. Liz, what? Everyone already knows. What do you mean you don't? OP, well, this time I'm the one who knows what's going on with me. Huh. And so the game of tag had begun. I started figuring out the chain by which this message was spreading. Cult Friend 1 told this to Liz. Cult Friend 2 told it to Cult Friend 1. Cult Friend 2 told this to Cult Friend 3, and Cult Friend 3 told this to the cult leader. Cult leader then told this to Angel. Photosynthesis also told this to cult leader, and the chain, of course, had many, many more chains stemming from it. This is the worst game of telephone I've ever played. All y'all need to get a hobby. All 30 attendants had already told their friends, and those friends told their friends, and so on and so on. Being a small town, the news had spread with lightning speed, and of course, I was the last one to know. A lie can make a trip around the world before the truth even gets its shoes on, as the saying goes. Figuring out the chain, who told who what, and the story basically stayed the same. And the story was this. During the regular prayer, Stalkerbeard was given a word to start it. God bless all those here, God bless this food, God bless this day, blah blah blah. After saying thanks for all that happened today and earlier, he went on about how
he hopes that God blesses him with Sova and their relationship too.
Everyone was surprised, and of course they started to ask questions, to all of which he proudly replied that his confession earlier was a success and that him and OP are now a couple. Why you gotta lie, dude? Lie about the only person that's been decent to you? Seems like a really bad way to go. The confession in question was so out of nowhere that I couldn't even think of a way to blend it into the rest of the story episodes. It happened sometime after the new kitten had made our apartment its home. In the late evening, or rather early night, I got a text from Stalkerbeard simply stating,
I want to tell you something. Can you come down to the first floor so we can talk?
No. Every girl ever understands what those words mean. Oh, I don't know what they mean, but I'm just saying no on principle. And OP understood them as well, especially coming from Stalkerbeard. Those were the last words that I wanted to hear, ever. I audibly cursed and groaned. Better get it over quick, I decided after a few minutes of thinking about how to respond and not hurt the guy. When I came down to the first floor and even looked outside, I was met with no one. Huh. Relieved, I thought that Stalkerbeard had already backed off and left, so I turned to go back inside. Stalkerbeard, hi! Oh. Out of the shadows, out of nowhere, there he is! My heart dropped to my feet. I get scared easily, and getting suddenly called out in the dark really did scare me. Stalkerbeard hid in the trees near the building, for some reason trying to avoid the lamplights. OP, God! Stalkerbeard, if you want to say something, you shouldn't hide in the bushes at least, you know? Stalkerbeard,
I'm sorry about that. So, I've thought about this for a long time now.
I'm sure you have. He started to get red in the face, and even in the dark, I could tell that his eyes were all over the place, along with his fidgety hands. He was visibly very nervous. Stalkerbeard,
I don't even know how to say it.
OP, have you tried your mouth? I joked. This is pretty funny though. May have been rude of me, but humor is one of my coping mechanisms, and even if it's not noticeable, I was just as, if not more, nervous than Stalkerbeard. God, I relate to that sentence so much. I feel so seen right now. Good on you, OP. Stalkerbeard.
I'm trying that right now. Not very good at it, though.
He sighed. OP, spit it out. Better than torturing yourself like this. Stalkerbeard.
It's just that I don't know how to say it properly.
He covered his face with his hands. OP, if it's that stressful, you could just write it through chat later. No need to rush if you can't. For me as well, it was way easier to say no through text and not face to face, but Stalkerbeard didn't plan on backpedaling on this one. He probably knows it's easier for you to say no in text. He can sense your noodle spine. He's like, if I could just ask her face to face, she'll never say no, because that would hurt my feelings. And she doesn't want to hurt my feelings for some reason. OP's gonna say yes, it's inevitable. The title of the episode, did you date a neckbeard, bro? And she did, bro. Stalkerbeard.
I just think that you're a wonderful human. And you're so nice to me and to others. And you always help everyone. And
he took a deep breath. OP, thanks. Didn't need to get so nervous about this, though. Stalkerbeard.
Because of all that, I really like you. And I wanted to ask, will you date me?
Good thing I had already prepared an answer. Otherwise, I would be so dumbfounded in that moment that I'd agree just to not make him feel bad. Oh, so you didn't agree. Good, great, victory! OP, that was just basic human decency. You're nice too, but I don't want to date right now. Not you, not anyone. I'm a little messed up in the head and I don't want to ruin other people's lives because of it. We could still talk, but if you want to date, you'll need to find someone other than me. Very good answer. Very pragmatic. I'm liking that a lot. Not the exact words I said then, but yeah, the point gets across well enough. Stalkerbeard seemed to understand that too, even if he tried to whine his way through with,
Why not? Why not me? You can rely on me. You could try at least.
Because apparently the word no simply doesn't exist in his vocabulary. It's such a bad look too anyways to try and whine your way into a relationship. She said no. Okay, take the L, move on. In the end, his confession failed. But it seems that either he was too embarrassed to tell it how it was, or the flu med incident convinced him that I loved him too, and was just too shy to admit it. Yeah, that's what happens in anime. Anyway, now it was my turn to text I want to talk about something to Stalkerbeard. Couple of days since I learned about our new relationship that the entire town was already informed of. I was waiting for Stalkerbeard in the town center, and he came walking towards me like he was just killed and brought back to life, as slowly as humanly possible, looking at his feet the entire time, just like a dog that knows it did something bad. Did you bring the rolled up newspaper? Stalkerbeard.
So, what did you want to talk about?
OP, about how I was the last one to know that we are apparently dating. Stalkerbeard made a surprised face, as if he had just learned the news too. OP, everyone at the meetings already knows about it, and they told me that you're the one who started telling people that. Stalkerbeard.
No, they're making it up. I swear.
OP, Christians lying about you praying for our relationship, sinning? I find that unlikely. Stalkerbeard.
I didn't say anything about the relationship.
OP. Oh, so you admit that you did talk about us, then. Stalkerbeard groaned and hid his face in his palms. He thought a bit before answering with a deep sigh. Stalkerbeard.
I did pray that we get better, but like, separately. They must have misunderstood this.
OP, but when they asked you to clarify, you said that we were indeed dating. His face clearly read frustration at this point. Stalkerbeard knew he had messed up the only chance he could have gotten right then and there. Stalkerbeard.
Who told you about that?
Yeah, it's just all crumbling down, isn't it? How could he ever have thought that this was going to work? OP, I heard it from Liz. And Liz heard it from Cult Friend 1, who heard it from 2, who heard it from 3, who heard it from the cult leader, who heard it from Angel, who heard it from Photosynthesis, who heard it directly from you. The entire town knows about this lie at this point. Stalkerbeard,
They're the ones who are lying. You of all people know how easy it is for rumors to spread in this town.
OP, I know. And because of that, I was hoping that I'd be the last person that the rumors could spread about. At this point, my eyes started to water. I cry without making sounds or changing my facial expression, so it was hard to tell, but I was literally crying because of how much this would affect me on top of everything else that's going on already. My family being one of the most talked about and observed in the town, when everyone has it as a responsibility to comment and give unsolicited advice, when you already feel like a lab rat being observed and trained 24/7. Stalkerbeard,
I'm sorry, I'll try to fix this. Just give me another chance, please.
No. OP, I do not give any second chances. If I trust people, I do so wholeheartedly, believing that my trust won't backfire on me. This time, it did. I can't give you any chances. If you feel responsible, try to explain it to everyone, or whatever you feel like doing, but just let me be alone for now. Damn, it's rough it happened to you that way, OP. Wifey is the same way, though. My wife don't give second chances. I have also taken up that philosophy, and it seems to work out pretty well, most of the time. I believe that this would be the last time that I saw Stalkerbeard, or anyone besides the caregiver. I didn't go outside anymore. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't get out of bed. With his utmost efforts, Stalkerbeard had put the last stepping stone for me to jump from. I was too scared to know what the people were saying about me now. Before his incidents, I was known in the whole region as the girl who recorded her teacher without their agreement, because that teacher would humiliate students for the most unreasonable reasons, picking nails, looking in the mirror, writing in a notebook, asking questions, being on the phone, and the teacher would dunk on them in front of the whole class and fail them just because they felt like it. Honestly, that sounds like a story in itself. A little bit more of that background info. Of course, the second part was never talked about. I got a good beating at home every time the rumors reached the caregiver, which was a lot. I did that because I was the one who was on the phone when they held class for 20 more minutes, which ate up our break between classes, and I was searching up how many sleeping meds I'd need to take before it was fatal. Jesus, dude, not over all this, not like that, man. I can promise you there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. I've been at this point in my life multiple times as well. But you pick up, you carry on, you know in your head that it's gonna get better, and eventually, gasp, it does get better. So, I hate that you had to go through that, OP, but I'm glad you made it out. When the time was right, I locked myself up in the bathroom, texted 2 simple, sorry that it had to be that fast, live a good life, goodbye, to Liz and internet friend. I got into the bathtub and chugged 500 milliliters of the sleeping meds, washed down by the same amount of whatever alcohol the caregiver had on hand. When my body was already limp and the breaths I took were once every 14 seconds, the caregiver got back home. I had to drag myself to open the door and then back into the bathtub, and the caregiver went to the toilet right next to me. Yeah, that's weird. Enjoy your bath. Now it smells like poop in here. It's a serious moment. I should joke. The caregiver asked what I was doing in here. I said, I want to sleep, but the room's too light. It was 11 a.m., so I went here. A totally believable excuse for someone who doesn't actually care. In reality, I just didn't want to throw up and poop and pee all over the bed when I passed, so she left me there in the bathroom for about 10 to 15 minutes more. I thought that it'd be too suspicious if I stayed there and she might call the ambulance, which meant that my plan would go to waste, so I went into the bed after all. Damn, bro, this is dark. You really committed to that. Super glad it didn't work, if I could be honest with you, alright? During the time I was passed out, Liz was at work, but the internet friend alerted all the people who she knew were near me. Through my slumber, I heard the caregiver sending off Stalkerbeard first, telling him that I was asleep. He did try to talk her into letting him in, but wasn't convincing enough. I still appreciate that he was the first one to show up, though he was probably just roaming the streets nearby. The next one was Angel. This time the caregiver felt that something was wrong and let him in. Rushing towards the bed where I was already sitting up with all the strength I had, he shouted, Angel, Silva! Oh my god! Are you alive? OP, lost in time and space, barely managing to move her lips. As you can see. Angel,
Vampire sent me your text. Are you okay?
OP, BS. I'm fine, as you can see, so just let me sleep. Angel,
you reek of medicine. You're not fine. Don't lie now.
OP, I failed even at this. How can I suck even at just dying? I sobbed as he was hugging me. The caregiver just stood there in silence. Yeah, great job giving care. You don't have anything to say about this, caregiver? You just gonna stand there in silence, caregiver? All right, great job. Angela and I went out of the apartment to talk so that she wouldn't hear us. As I was telling him the story, Liz rushed towards us, crying as well. Soon, all three of us were just sitting on my couch as I was joking about what happened while they tried to calm me down. This tea time, however, had to stop when all the meds and alcohol came back up my throat, and I had to spend the next couple of hours on the toilet. Hard lessons, but the body will always save itself. What did we learn here today? The caregiver just thought that me not getting out of bed for the whole day was alright, and did nothing. All my family treated, and still do treat me like an addict, saying that I just liked the feeling and did it for funsies. The informant friend then for some reason proceeded to harass me and try to turn all our friends against me, telling me she wished that I had died that day. I lost all ties with my family and friends after this. Oof, dude. I know Stalkerbeard's, he's sort of in the equation, but he's really not. But you definitely do need that support network in order to push back against him, you know? If the only support network is the Beard himself, it is a fate worse than death. Literally. Stalkerbeard reached out to me often after that, mostly through text, trying to be supportive and telling me his own thoughts about Epsteining himself. In the end, it was always redirected to how the cult helped resolve it all. So I just cut him off after he was done venting. The part of me that was always putting other struggles before my own survived as well and was thriving even now. Stalkerbeard had stopped talking to me after a while, but still went on patrols near my apartment for 3 more months. Later on, I heard about him being sent off to a rehab clinic, which was probably the sole reason why he stopped. But as of now, the new and improved Stalkerbeard is released to roam free once again, and he, once again, has started to terrorize me with his socially inept self. Oh, just when you thought the story was over, it ain't ever over! We went to some dark places in this story, though, I gotta say. OP, I hope you're getting the help that you need. I hope you love yourself as much as you deserve to be loved. I hope your support network is growing strong and fast and beautiful. And this channel, the comments section, always open for your use. We have a fantastic community here that are sure to give you some words of wisdom. My words of wisdom, not necessarily the greatest, but you can believe me. Light at the end of the tunnel. Just hang on to that when it seems darkest. I am glad that you were able to tell the Neckbeard off. I really thought you guys were going to start dating in this episode, but maybe another episode or something like that. It's been 2 months. We've seen no updates, so I don't know. Is it the end? Is it not? It doesn't feel like the end. There's more story to be told, so I hope we can get that at some point. But as it is, we're caught up on these posts. So good. close the book. That's the last we'll see until I see something new. If you can afford to support, I hope you will. If you can't, don't sweat it too hard. I just appreciate that you came through, you hung out with me. I hope you'll come on back, hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there, wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe like watching some more ReddX videos. How about it? Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, friends, bye-bye.
sunlight glinting on nippon steel, folded 1,000